I have counseled men worth hundreds of millions of dollars, men who built empires from nothing, men who turned dusty ideas into dynasties. And I want to tell you something that every single one of them has in common, something they never put in their interviews, never share on stage, never reveal to the journalists who come to write about their success. Every single one of them does one specific thing before 7 a.m. Not journaling, not cold showers, not reading the Wall Street Journal. Something ancient, something that most of you have never been taught, something that was practiced by King David before he faced Goliath, by Moses before he parted the sea, by Abraham before he became the father of nations. And I am going to tell you what it is today, because I am 83 years old. I have studied Torah for over 6 decades. I have sat with the desperate and the prosperous. I have watched families go from poverty to abundance, and I have watched wealthy men lose everything overnight. And in all of that, in all of those decades and all of those conversations, there is one pattern that never breaks. The morning you skip this ritual is the morning the enemy gets access to your week. I need you to stop right now and type these 2 words in the comments below. Type Shacharit ready, not because it is a tradition, because when you type those words, you are declaring that you are done letting your mornings belong to the enemy. You are declaring that what I am about to show you is for you today in this season of your life. And press that like button right now, not for my sake, but because every time you press it, YouTube shows this video to someone else who is sitting in debt, in confusion, in a season of spiritual drought, and they need what I am about to say just as badly as you do. Subscribe to this channel, because what I am releasing here is not motivational content. This is ancient technology. This is the weaponry of heaven, and you are going to want every piece of it. Now, let me tell you something that most people will never understand about the enemy. He does not attack you at your weakest point. He is not waiting for you to be in crisis. He is waiting for you to be unprotected. There is a difference. A man in crisis who is spiritually covered is dangerous to the enemy. But a man who is comfortable, who is slightly distracted, who says, I will pray later, that man is wide open. That man's weak. His finances, his relationships, his peace of mind, they are all vulnerable. The rabbis of the Talmud understood something that has been almost completely forgotten in modern religious life. They understood that the first moments of consciousness each day are not just a biological event. They are a spiritual threshold. The ancient sages taught that when you sleep, your soul partially departs from your body and ascends. And when you wake, you're not simply waking from physical rest. You are returning from a place of closeness with the divine. You are being given back your soul for another day. This is why the very first words a Jewish man or woman is supposed to speak upon, opening their eyes, before their feet hit the floor, before the phone is checked, before a single thought about the day enters the mind, are these Modeh Ani Lefanecha Melech, Chai V'Kayim, Shehechezarta, Binishmati Bichemla, Rabba Emunatecha. I am grateful before you, living and eternal King, for returning my soul to me with compassion. Great is your faithfulness. These words are not a religious formality. They are a declaration of covenant. They are you saying to heaven, I acknowledge where my life comes from. I acknowledge who owns this day. I acknowledge that without your faithfulness there would be no mourning for me. Mourning. And when you speak those words, something shifts in the spiritual realm before your feet touch the ground. The great Baal Shem Tov, founder of the Hasidic movement, once said, "The first thought of the morning is the seed of the entire day. Plant it in gratitude, and the day will grow in blessing. Plant it in fear, and the day will grow in confusion." And when I first heard this, sitting as a young student in Jerusalem, everything changed for me, because I realized I had been waking up for years and immediately handing my first thoughts to worry, to the list, to the pressure, to the fear. And I was wondering why my days felt like warfare I could not win. The billionaires I have counseled, the ones who maintain their wealth, who grow it, who carry peace alongside their prosperity. They understand this intuitively. They may not all use the Hebrew words, some do, but all of them have discovered through discipline or through devastation that the morning belongs to God first, or it belongs to the enemy by default. There is no neutral morning. Now I want to take you back to a man you think you know. His name is David. But I do not want you to think of King David. I want you to think of Shepherd David. Before the throne, before the Psalms were compiled, before the crown. I want you to think of a teenage boy sitting in a field in the dark hours before dawn, watching sheep in the hills of Bethlehem. David did not just wake up and start his day. Every morning, and the rabbis teach this clearly, David rose before dawn, before what the Talmud calls the Amud HaShachar, the pillar of dawn. He rose in darkness, and he did something that most of the people sleeping in comfortable houses in Jerusalem would never do. He sang. Psalm 57 tells us that David declared, "I will awaken the dawn," not "I will wait for the dawn," not "I will rise when the dawn wakes me." I will awaken the dawn. David was saying, my worship comes before the sun. My praise moves before the light does. I do not wait for circumstances to improve before I give honor to the one who controls all circumstances. And this is the secret hidden in plain sight for 3,000 years. The man or woman who learns to awaken the dawn spiritually, intentionally, through sacred morning practice becomes someone the enemy cannot predict, cannot track, cannot access, because they have already given their first moments to a realm the enemy has no authority in. Now let me show you exactly what this morning ritual looks like, because I'm not speaking about something vague and mystical that you cannot apply. I am giving you the 3 specific movements of the morning that the ancient rabbis codified, that David practiced, and that every man or woman I have seen walk in sustained blessing has returned to. The first movement is acknowledgement. The very instant you become conscious, before you roll over, before you reach for your phone, before your mind starts calculating the stress of the day, you speak Modeh Ani. You acknowledge that you woke up not because of your own strength, not because your body is healthy, not because the world is safe, but because the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob made a decision to return your soul to you for another day. This sounds simple. It is not easy. Because the enemy knows that if he can get you to pick up your phone first, you have handed him the first moments of your consciousness. You have filled your mind with the news, with social media, with someone else's agenda, with the noise of the world, and that noise will follow you all day. But when you speak those words, first, I am grateful, before you living an eternal King, You have established who owns the morning. You have put a spiritual marker at the entrance of your day. And everything that comes after passes through that gate. The second movement is purification in Jewish law. Immediately after waking, before touching your eyes, before touching your face, you wash your hands. This is called netalat yadayim, and most people who do it think of it as a hygiene practice or a ritual formality. But the Kabbalists teach something far deeper. They teach that during sleep, because the soul partially departs, an impure spiritual energy called tumah rests upon the hands, not because you did anything wrong, simply because you are in a state of reduced spiritual consciousness. And in the washing, the deliberate, intentional pouring of water 3 times on each hand alternating is the act of declaring, I am re-entering the waking world as a person of holiness. I am washing away the residue of the night. I am beginning clean. Rabbi Akiva, may his memory be a blessing, one of the greatest sages who ever lived, famously risked his life to perform netalat yadayim, even when water was almost unavailable during a period of imprisonment. His students, seeing this, said to him, Rabbi, you barely have water to drink. Why do you use it for hand washing? And he replied, I would rather die of thirst than violate the traditions of my teachers. And when I first encountered this story, as a young man, I wept, because I understood this man, understood that the invisible discipline, the one no one sees, the one that seems unnecessary when circumstances are desperate, is exactly the one that cannot be abandoned. It is the invisible disciplines that maintain the spiritual architecture of a life. Now let me pause here, right in the middle of what I am sharing with you, and I need you to do something. Type the word shacharit in the comments right now. Shacharit is the Hebrew name for the morning prayer service. It literally means the time of seeking. And when you type that word, you are not just following an instruction. You are declaring that you are a seeker. You are declaring that the morning is no longer going to be wasted on the enemy's distractions. You are saying, I choose to seek first. Type it now. And while you are there, share this video with one person, just one who you know is waking up every morning in fear, in debt, in confusion. Because the secret I am sharing is not only for the people who find it, it is for the people you bring to it. The third movement of the morning ritual is declaration. And this is where it gets powerful. This is where what you have acknowledged and purified becomes weaponized. The ancient morning prayers, the Shacharit service, are not accidental. They were not assembled randomly by well-meaning rabbis sitting around debating nice ideas. They were constructed with surgical, spiritual precision. Each section was placed where it was placed because of what it does to the consciousness and the spirit of the person praying. And at the heart of the Shacharit is a practice of declaring who God is before you declare anything about yourself or your situation. This is the opposite of how most people pray. Most people wake up and immediately tell God about their problems. Lord, I have this bill. Lord, my marriage is struggling. Lord, I need a breakthrough. Lord, help me with this situation. And I want you to understand, God hears those prayers. He loves you. He is not dismissing you. But there is a higher level of prayer. And David discovered it. And the billionaires I have counseled who carry genuine peace alongside their success, they have rediscovered it. Before you tell God what you need, you declare who He is. You speak the Ashrei Psalm 145. which declares the greatness and provision of God in the most comprehensive language in all of Torah. You speak the Shema, declaring the absolute unity and sovereignty of the one who holds your life. You speak the Amidah, the standing prayer, where you stand before the King of all kings, and you speak of his power, his holiness, his provision for the living and the dead before you make a single personal request. And what this does, what this ancient architecture of morning prayer does, is it realigns your soul with what is actually true before the world gets a chance to tell you what appears to be true. Right now, there is someone watching this video who has been waking up every morning to the weight of debt. The number is so familiar to you that you carry it in your body like a stone. You know the exact amount. You have calculated it 100 different ways. And every morning before you have even had coffee, your mind goes to that number. I want to speak to you directly. That number is not the first truth of your morning. It is not the opening statement of your day. The first truth of your morning is that the God who created the universe decided to return your soul to your body today. The first truth is that you woke up covered by the same chest, the same loving kindness that has kept you alive through every difficult season you thought would break you. And it did not break you. You are here, watching this, seeking. That is not nothing. That is everything. The Baal Shem Tov also taught this, that wherever a person's thoughts go in the first moments of waking, that is the direction their entire day travels. The thought becomes the path. The path becomes the destination. This is why the enemy works so hard to fill those first moments with noise, with your phone, with the news, with the memory of last night's argument, with the anxiety about next week's payment. Because if he can own your first thought, he has effectively owned your day. But here is the good news, and I want you to receive this fully. You can take it back. You can take back your morning with 20 minutes, not hours, not a retreat, not a program. 20 minutes of shacharit acknowledgement, purification, declaration, and you have placed yourself in a spiritual position that makes you nearly impenetrable for the rest of the day. I have a friend. I will not use his full name. He is worth several $100 million. He built his company over 30 years. And he told me something I have never forgotten. He said, "Rabbi, I attribute more of my success to the practice of morning prayer than to any business decision I have ever made, because morning prayer gave me clarity that no consultant could sell me. It gave me discernment about people, about opportunities, about dangers. It gave me peace in moments when peace should have been impossible." And I asked him, "What does your morning look like exactly?" And he told me. He wakes at 5:30. He speaks Modeh Ani before his feet hit the floor. He washes his hands. He puts on his talit and his tefillin. He opens his siddur, his prayer book, and he moves through shacharit slowly, not rushed, not mechanical, with attention, with intention. He told me by the time I close that prayer book and begin my day, I feel like I have already won, because I have placed myself in the hand of the one who cannot lose. Now let me give you the 3 steps of this practice in a form you can begin tonight in preparation for tomorrow morning. Step 1. Tonight before you sleep, place your phone across the room, not on silent, across the room, because the battle for your morning actually begins the night before. If the first thing your hand touches when you wake is your phone, you have already handed the morning to the world. Make the physical decision tonight that your phone will not be the first voice you hear tomorrow. Step 2, write these words on a piece of paper. Write them with your own hand, not type them, and place that paper on your bedside table where it will be the first thing you see when you open your eyes. Write Mode Ani Levanecha. Even if you cannot read Hebrew, write the sounds. And beneath it write what it means. I am grateful before you, living and eternal King. You returned my soul. Great is your faithfulness. When you wake tomorrow and you see that paper, read it aloud. Even if your voice is hoarse, even if you feel nothing, speak it, because the speaking is the planting. You do not wait to feel grateful before you declare gratitude. You declare gratitude and the feeling follows. Step 3, give yourself 20 minutes before you look at anything else. A phone, a screen, a news headline, a text message, nothing. 20 minutes of sacred space. You can use that time to read a psalm. I recommend Psalm 100, which the ancient rabbis called the Psalm of Total Gratitude, the psalm that opens the gates of heaven's supply. Or you can simply sit in stillness, speaking the words of Mode Ani over and over, letting them settle into your consciousness like water soaking into dry ground. And I want to tell you what will happen. The first morning, you will feel awkward. Your mind will pull toward your phone, toward your list, toward the noise. That pull is real. That is the enemy resisting the new pattern. Do not negotiate with it. Hold the 20 minutes. The second morning, something will be slightly different. You will notice a quality of thought that was not there before. A small clearing. A sense of ground beneath your feet rather than water. The third morning, and I say this with the certainty of someone who has watched this happen more times than I can count, the third morning, you will not want to give it up, because you will have tasted something, a peace that is not earned and cannot be manufactured, a peace that the scripture calls shalom, wholeness, completeness, nothing missing, nothing broken. The great Maimonides, the Rambam, wrote that a person who does not sanctify the morning sanctifies nothing, that without the morning anchor, all the rest of religious life floats untethered. And I have seen this to be true. I have watched men who were dedicated in every other area of spiritual life remain stuck, remain frustrated, remain in cycles of lack and loss, because the morning was never protected. And I have watched men who were stumbling in nearly every other area begin to experience breakthrough simply because they learned to protect the first 20 minutes of their day. The enemy is not afraid of your evening prayers. He is not afraid of your weekend worship. He is not afraid of your occasional fasting. He is afraid of your daily morning ritual, because consistency in the morning creates an impenetrable spiritual architecture around your life that cannot be dismantled by a single bad day, a single bad week, or a single bad season. Now let me speak a word over you, and I want you to receive this, not just hear it, but receive it. Someone watching this right now has been in a long waiting season. You have been faithful, you have been praying, you have been trusting, and the breakthrough has not come in the form you expected. And somewhere in the quiet, a thought has crept in, a thought you would never say out loud, a thought that says, maybe this is just my life. Maybe this is as good as it gets for me. I want to tell you that thought is a lie, and it is a lie planted specifically in the morning when your defenses are lowest, when you are not yet fully in your spiritual armor. The morning ritual I am describing to you today is not a technique for the strong. It is the very first piece of armor for the weary. It is for the person who wakes up already exhausted before the day begins. It is for the one who lies in bed for those first moments, dreading what the day will bring. It is for you specifically that this teaching has been preserved for 3,000 years and is being released to you today. Heaven is not ignoring your situation. Heaven is waiting for the moment you come to it first. Before the news, before the worry, before the list, before anything. The Lord is not a God of the evening prayers of desperate people. He is the God of the morning, the God who says in Psalm 5, in the morning, O Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning, I lay my requests before you and wait in expectation. Not in the afternoon when you have already been beaten by the day. In the morning, before the battle, before the enemy has fired a single shot. Begin tomorrow. Not next week when you feel more motivated. Not after your situation changes. Tomorrow morning, before 7 a.m., before your phone. 20 minutes. Modayani. Psalm 100. Silence before the Holy One. And watch what begins to shift. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob place a hedge of holy fire around your mornings from this day forward. May he return your soul to you each day with fresh mercy and renewed purpose. May the first breath you draw tomorrow be a breath of gratitude that opens the windows of heaven over your home, your finances, your health, and your family. May every enemy that has been accessing your week through your unguarded mornings find the gate closed and the ground holy. May what has been stuck begin to move. May what has been delayed begin to arrive. May what has been stolen be restored, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You are seen, you are known, you're not forgotten. And your mourning belongs to God. Like this video so that someone else who is waking up tomorrow in fear can find this teaching tonight. Share it with one person whose mourning needs protecting. Subscribe to this channel because there is so much more of this ancient wisdom that I have been given to release. And go write those words on that paper tonight. Modayani, I am grateful. You returned my soul. Great is your faithfulness. Shalom.